Done.
Okay. So let's just start with this. Ma'am, what is excess demand? Okay. So excess demand refers to a situation when your aggregate demand is more than your aggregate supply, corresponding to full employment level of output in the economy. Clear? Amos, do you have any class after this also?
Ma'am, I have accounts class.
Okay. Okay. So what is excess demand? Excess demand refers to a situation when your aggregate demand is more than the aggregate supply. Okay. Corresponding to full employment level of output in the economy. Okay. So there is a full level employment level. Okay. Full employment level, and over there aggregate demand is more. Okay. So when your aggregate demand is more, then of course it is excess demand, right? And because of this, what happens? Excess demand give rise to inflationary gap. Inflation. When we were doing the banking chapter, over there we did excess demand is equals to inflationary gap. Why? Because when lots of people are demanding this, say at that moment, what the producer do? They increase the price, right? So excess demand always leads to inflation. Is basically increase in price. And when inflation comes, when there is high demand, like when you are demanding for a product in a good manner, everyone is demanding the same product, so of course there will be inflation. Okay. And then, ma'am, what is inflationary gap? Inflationary gap refers to the gap by which actual aggregate demand exceed the aggregate demand required to establish a full. So the requirement is, for example, there are two chocolates. So my requirement is that there should be two buyers, right? This, and when you have two buyers and two suppliers, this will be the equilibrium. But unfortunately, there are four buyers. So you can see aggregate demand is increasing, right? So that's why it will cause the inflationary gap. So first of all, you will write excess demand, first point till here, and then the second point, and in bracket you will write the definition of inflationary gap. Okay. And then now coming to the this graph, what is this? Basically, this is your demand and this is your supply, because when demand and supply interact, that point is known as equilibrium, right? So this is your supply and this is your aggregate demand, right? So aggregate demand is basically over here, you can see it is increasing, and this gap is your inflationary gap. When your aggregate demand increases, it causes aggregate inflationary gap. So this is you will write AD and AD1, and this is AS. Okay, and this point E is your full employment equilibrium. Over here you are representing income, output, or employment, and over here aggregate demand. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Aditya, can you hear me? Aditya, clear? We have started the new chapter, excess demand and deficit demand. Okay. Now the question is, ma'am, what are the reasons for excess demand? Why there is a excess demand, right? So first is rise in propensity to consume. See, if people wants to consume more, only then there will be the rise, right? So rise in propensity to consume because of increase in consumption, expenditure due to rise in propensity to consume, or propensity to fall in propensity to save. So when people wants to consume more, of course they will demand more, and because of this there will be increase in aggregate demand. Plus, see, whenever you get your income, either you will consume or you will save, right? So if you now earlier, for example, your income was 100 rupees, over here you were 80 rupees you were consuming and 20 rupees you were saving, right? But now you decided to save less. You are like, now I will consume 90 rupees and I will only save 10. So your savings are going down. At that moment also your demand is increasing. So when your consumption increases, that also causes excess demand. And when your savings starts falling, because now you are not saving, you are much interested in consuming things, that in that case also your this aggregate demand increases, that cause excess demand. Next, reduction is taxes. It may also occur to increase in disposal income and consumption demand because of decrease in taxes. So for example, your income is 100 rupees, right? Out of this 100 rupees, you have to pay 10 rupees tax, or maybe 40 rupees tax. Okay. But now what government said, no, so what you were doing, you were 60 rupees you were consuming, right? But now government reduced your tax. Now you have to pay only 20 rupees. You are saving 20 rupees again. So this 20 rupees you are using for consumption, right? So when there is reduction in tax, you have more money, you have more disposable income with you, right? So of course you will consume more, and because of this there will be excess demand. Okay. Next, increase in government expenditure. See, where government do expenditure, government usually expenditure on road construction, subsidies and all that. So for example, this is a fertilizer. This fertilizer was for 50 rupees. Okay. So now what government said, government want to do spend their money. So what government said, we will give you subsidy and you have to only pay 30 rupees, right? Again, you are saving 20 rupees. So that 20 rupees you will use for consumption, right? So when government increases its expenditure, because of this, people, people have more money, right? And because of this, excess demand comes. Then increase in investment. For example, I have one flat. Now I want to purchase one more flat. I want to do investment. So of course I'm demanding, right? That also leads to increase in demand. Then fall in import. Earlier, for example, these are two chocolates. Okay, there are four people. Okay, so these two people prefer to purchase things from abroad. Okay, right? So they basically believe that they will import something. So these two people were demanding these two chocolate, and these two people were purchasing it from somewhere else. So they were importing it, right? But now they don't want to import it. They are also demanding the same thing. So earlier demand was two, but now the demand is four. So when there is fall in import, people don't want to import, so they will demand from their own country, right? So because of this also, for example, the same chocolate you are getting here for 10 rupees, here you are getting for 20 rupees. So people will not prefer this. Now people will demand from there only. But you have only two chocolates. So again, there is excess demand. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming to rise in export. Rise in export, for example, I have two dresses. Okay, I'm the shopkeeper and I have two dresses. I have two customers with me. But now what I did, there was a client of mine from abroad only. So what I did, I sold one dress to that person, right? So now earlier it was okay, two dresses, two people, but now because I increased my export is giving out, import is taking, right? I gave this dress to my that client. Now I have only one product, but I have two people to purchase it, right? So again, there's a problem of excess demand. Then financing. Now what is deficit financing? Excess demand made, see, for example, you have your birthday party, you have 100 rupees budget, right? But somewhere when you went for the party, your bill was 150. Okay, so the 50 rupees is extra, right? This is the excess demand. Okay, because of this also deficit demand, excess demand comes, because now, because you got the money, earlier you had 100 rupees, so you were ordering only 4 pizza, but now your friend said, okay, I will give you 50 rupees, you can later on return me. So he gave you 50 rupees, so now you are demanding 6 pizza. So because when someone gives you money, deficit financing comes, right? In that case also, there's an increase in money supply, right? And that's called deficit financing. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you will quickly write it down. First of all, what you will write? You will write first, you will write excess demand, make a box, excess demand. Okay, then write these 2 points in bracket, just write inflationary gap, and after that graph, and after that the impacts. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, somebody said something. Okay, those who started joined late, like this is the chapter we have started, excess demand and deficit demand. So basically, what is excess demand? When your aggregate demand is more than your aggregate supply, that is your excess demand. And because of excess demand, inflation is being caused. Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Everyone done? Those who
Yes,
joined
ma'am.
late, you can take. Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Now this is the graph. Okay. Ma'am, what this graph is? Basically, this graph, you can say this is your demand, this is your other demand, and this is your uh, supply. So this point is your full employment equilibrium, and because of this, your AD is increasing. So that is your inflation. The gap between AD and AD1 is your inflationary gap. Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Everyone done? No, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's just do. Next is reason for excess demand. Okay. So prepare rise and prepare. So you just quickly write it down. Then we'll.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Others done. Amos,
Done, ma'am.
Now these are the reasons. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. Done, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Others?
Yes, ma'am, done.
Okay. Now, ma'am, what is deficit financing? We have already done, right? Now we are going to do, ma'am, what are the impact of this excess demand? Okay, so what you will write next, you will write hashtag impact of, or you can say, no, impact, not effect of. Okay, effect of excess demand. Clear? These were the reason, or you can write impact or effect, both are the same things. Okay, so first output. See, over here I had 2 chocolates, right? I am at full equilibrium level, right? So like it's my closing time. So if 4 people will come to me, then what I will do? I will produce more? No, definitely not, because I am at closing time. I cannot produce more. So effect on output. Excess demand does not affect the level of output because economy is already at full employment level. Okay. So because economy is already working over there, so of course you will not work on this. Okay. Then next is effect on employment. There will be no change on, see, if I am not doing further production, so why I will hire other people, right? So effect on employment is there will be no change in the level of employment as economy is already operating at full employment and there is no involuntary unemployment. Okay. Then third is effect on general price level. So general price level in excess demand leads to rise in general price known as inflation. So remember one thing, those who were not with me when we were doing the chapter, like banking chapter. So over here, see, whenever, for example, you have 2 chocolates, if 4 people are demanding over here, right? So what you will do, you will increase the price. And when you increase the price, that is known as inflation. I for increase and I for increase in price. Okay. Increase in price and inflation are the same thing. Deflation is basically decrease in price and deflation. Okay. So because of this, and what you can see, there are 2 chocolates, but 4 people are demanding. So what you will do, you will increase the price. So what will be the effect on the inflation? Basically, it will on the general price, it will increase. Clear? So you will write effect, or you can write impact on. You just write impact slash effect on effect of excess demand. Then you will write effect on this, effect on employment, effect on general price. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Done, students?
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Aditya and Pranav, done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we are done with excess demand. We will discuss deficit demand. Okay, so ma'am, what is deficit demand? So deficit demand refers to a situation when aggregate demand is less than aggregate supply, corresponding to full employment level of output in the economy. After that, you will write due to deficit demand, or you can write deficit demand leads to, just write deficit demand leads to which gap? Deflationary gap. Clear? Over here, what we were doing, we were writing, when we were writing this, what we write excess demand gives rise to inflationary gap, but deficit demand gives rise to deflationary gap. Okay. Now we will look at the graph of this. Ma'am, this is the graph, right? Income and output employment, and this. Over here, what is happening? Aggregate demand and supply. This is the full employment, but aggregate demand is coming down. It's less than aggregate supply, so it's coming down. So this area is your deflationary gap. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just write this deflationary gap, like make a box for this. Okay, just write this. Deficit demand, and after this, and after that, the graph.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Done, students, the graph?
Done, ma'am.
Others?
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Okay. So now we are going to do the reasons for deficit demand. Okay. So whatever reasons we wrote for excess demand, it will be opposite, right? So let's just discuss it from. It was rise, it will be fall. Reduction, increase in tax. Increase in government expenditure, decrease in government expenditure. Like this. It will be all opposite. Okay. So let's just check. First is decrease in propensity to consume. Anyone wants to say something? Okay. So first is decrease in propensity to consume. Now people don't want to consume, right? So what they will do, because of this, there will be no demand, so demand will fall down. Then increase in taxes. Aggregate demand may also fall due to imposition of higher taxes. So earlier, for example, you have to pay 10 rupees tax. Now you have to pay 20 rupees tax, right? So you have to use your money from the consumption purpose, right? Then decrease in government expenditure. Earlier, government was giving you the subsidies and all that. Because of that, you were saving money and you were using that money for the consumption, right? But now government is not doing any expenditure. Okay. Then fall in investment. Okay. Now people don't want to spend, like they don't want to buy any property or something. So of course, because of that also there will be decrease in demand. Then rise in import. Now the people who were not importing from foreign companies, they started now purchasing. So because of this, the demand for the product within the country remains stable and nobody demands. So of course, fall in demand. Then fall in export. Earlier, the person, like I had two dress, right? One dress I sold it to my foreign person, like abroad, the client from abroad, right? But now that person is not purchasing the product. I have two dress, but over here I have only one person, right? So again, there is deficit demand. Clear? So all of these are the reasons of your deficit demand. So you will write reason for deficit demand and the all the 6 points. Okay. Be very quick. You have 10 minutes to write it down. Students done?
Ma'am, 1 minute.
Okay, do it. Okay, students, like others will be joining. So what you can do, those who are not done, you can take the screenshot and you can complete it after the class. Okay. Pranav is also done. Okay, Amos.